You know, for the longest time, these Western Digital Elements, little mechanical USB 3.0 compact hard drives were my best friend. They were great for backing up files, moving things between computers, and all kinds of good stuff. But then I started editing from external hard drives on laptops using things like Final Cut and Premiere, and all of a sudden, the limitations of this really started to surface. And I thought, you know, in this day and age of SSDs coming down in price, there's got to be a better way for external storage. You know what? There is. And it's really small. Hello everybody and welcome to Tech Uploaded. I am Chris and I have to say, this little guy kind of made my day. I didn't even mean to rhyme there. But the portable SSD T3 from Samsung. Really small, feels really nice, really compact, easily slides into a coat jacket pocket or pretty much any pocket, and it uses USB-C. Now, it's USB-C to USB-A, so all of you new thin and light laptop owners, especially the MacBook Pro people out there, you're gonna still need to use a dongle to get this to work, but just look at it though. Just look at it. It's worth the dongle. So before I gush about this any further, I figure I'll go ahead and show you the unboxing process. Not the most exciting thing, but seems appropriate. So the packaging for this is pretty simple. You just have the white Samsung box with the drive presented right up front. It says 500 gigabytes, and it says portable SSD T3. It's Windows, Mac, and Android compatible. Turning around to the back, you see that it does say that this does do 450 megabytes per second, and there is that USB Type-C connector on the back. Opening up the box, there's not a whole lot to really see in here. You just grab onto this little tab and go ahead and slide out the drive. There's a little plastic sheet over the top of it. Just toss that off to the side and then there it is. The Samsung drive. Now it has a nice aluminum finish on the top portion with this nice, very soft rubbery feel at the bottom. Gives it a nice grip. This is a nice improvement over last year's model. I think this one feels really nice. And then beyond that, you just have a little bit of paperwork and of course the cable. And the cable, like I said, is USB-C to USB-A. And that's pretty much it for the packaging. So there you have it, but here's the real question, numbers. How does this thing compare, right? You had this, and these things were going for like pennies on the dollar, basically. By the time, you know, we've gotten to this point, you can get multiple terabytes of data on these for literally like $100 or so. Whereas the Samsung's gonna set you back a little bit more. The 500 gigabyte version of it is kind of the best as far as price to performance goes, but you can get these all the way up to 2 terabytes now, but you will pay for that, trust me. They get a little bit pricey. We're still not in terabyte territory for affordable SSDs just quite yet, but performance. Let's look at some numbers. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is actually show some benchmarks as far as hard drive performance for various drives that are in this office. And starting with the best performer and kind of working our way down to the actual external drives that I'm using. So let's go ahead and take a look at the MacBook Pro 2016, late 2016 built-in internal SSD. And this thing is a beast with sequential reads topping out at 2000. It doesn't go any higher than that on the little needle. And the writes at over 1800, pretty impressive. The next one up in line is the Samsung M.2 that is actually in my X99 build, and that is a PM961 drive. It's clocking in with I cannot say this word, sequential read of 2,199 with a write of 1,245. So the MacBook actually beats it on the write by a pretty substantial margin. The next one up as far as speed goes is the Samsung 840 EVO 500 gigabyte SATA-based drive. And that one's got a sequential read of 552.7 with a sequential write of 529.3. So pretty consistent between the read and the write on that drive. Now, Getting into mechanical territory, we're looking at the Western Digital Black drive that I have all of my videos on the X99 build. That drive is also SATA, of course, and its sequential read came in at 128.3 with a sequential write of 122.8, so again, pretty even. We're seeing that across the board with SATA. They seem to be pretty darn close. And now let's start talking about the external drives. I tested the Western Digital Element 1 terabyte drive on both Windows and Mac because it was formatted in exFAT, so I was able to do it in both. And in Windows, I was getting a sequential read of 61.2 and a sequential write of 60.3. And on Mac, I was only coming in with a read of 55.1 and a write of 55.6. Now, the Samsung T3 500GB drive is formatted for Mac OS Extended because I am using it with Final Cut Pro, and it clocked in with a sequential read of 420.1 and a sequential write of 379.2. So the difference in performance between the Western Digital Element drive and this little Samsung SSD is massive, far more than I really expected it to be. And let me tell you, the second that I actually plugged this in and started using it with Final Cut Pro, it was immediately evident that this was a huge upgrade over using this Western Digital Elements drive. I had no idea this was bottlenecking me as much as it was, but it was really slowing things down. This has completely changed the game. Now, why don't I just use the internal storage? Obviously, it's super fast. We saw that in the numbers. Well, I like to be able to have my drives swap between computers. Say something happens to the MacBook Pro and it has to go in for repair. I want to be able to throw this on my MacBook Air and be able to open up the volume or the library and just start editing my footage again. So I really like to edit to external drives. And now that these SSDs are out, it's really changing things. Obviously, I'm gonna have to be backing up stuff to mechanical storage like my FreeNAS or my 5 terabyte external mechanical drive every now and then because this just isn't very big at 500 gigabytes. But it's also nice to have the speed of this and have it be so small to be able to just take with me pretty much anywhere. This is so small, it would actually be handy for hooking up to like an Android device or something. I mean, you can use this on Android, Mac OS, or Windows. It's just a super convenient thing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the price on these continue to drop. And according to the box, let's see, we came in at 420.1, and this is saying 450. So you know what? Pretty close, actually, to the rated spec, which is unusual these days. But I mean, this thing feels solid. I don't feel like I'm gonna break it. I do like that it is USB-C. It would have been cool if they would have included a USB-C to USB-C cable in the box as well as the USB-C to USB-A, since they already had the USB-C connection on the back. That would have been handy for those Mac users out there, and some Windows laptops now as well. But you know what? Overall, I'm really impressed with this thing. It's speeding up my workflow quite a bit. Highly recommend it. I'll go ahead and put a link down below to Amazon where I picked up mine, and the prices just continue to drop on these SSDs. So as soon as the 1 terabyte becomes affordable, I'm gonna be tempted to get another one of these because this seems like the kind of thing that you just can't have too many of, really. So there you have it. Really seemed like a sales pitch for this thing. It's not. I bought this with my own money. Samsung had nothing to do with this. I just really wanted to speed things up, and people were raving about this on the Amazon reviews, and now I see why. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and click on that subscribe button, give it a like, do your thing. You can also follow me on social media on either Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook as Tech Uploaded. And you can also shoot me an email at techuploaded@gmail.com. And of course, you know the drill. Don't be a stranger. Check back soon.